Welcome to another technical comparison episode by TST Industries. I am Stephen Fox, and today I'll be covering the similarities and differences between four popular Fender Eliminator options for the Yamaha YZF-R3. Brands included in this episode are TST Industries, Yoshimura, Vagabond, and Graves Motorsports. Let's go. Let me start with my quick preface. This will be a technical comparison episode, not a subjective comparison episode. You can think of this episode as an explanation, not an opinion, of the various options available to you as an R3 owner. I also like to mention at this point that perhaps the single largest consideration as a customer for these products is the installed aesthetic, how good the bike looks after a Fender Eliminator is installed. This comes down to personal preference, but in this episode, I will attempt to highlight key considerations of design intent and mention the largest differences between these offerings that will matter to you. Okay, if you're in the market for a Fender Eliminator for your R3, what should be your primary considerations? We found 5 key things that almost everyone thinks about are: 1, installed aesthetic, how good the products look and how good your bike looks after the items are installed. 2, system packaging and options. 3, build quality. 4, ease of installation and technical support from the manufacturer. And 5, pricing. Let's kick off this comparison with consideration number 1, aesthetics. Now, because this consideration largely comes down to personal preference and is most clearly communicated through imagery, let me briefly cover my perspective on the design intent for each brand's offering, and then we will take a moment to display each Fender Eliminator on and off the bike for you. Let's start with the TST system. I think the best way to describe our design intent for this product is a simple, functional, and harmonious OEM replacement. Out of all of the Fender Eliminators we will cover in this video, I think it's safe to say that the TST offering does the best job of looking like a factory part. When the system is installed, it fades into the rest of the bike. This is what I mean by harmonious. The fit, finish, and geometry of the undertail and license plate bracketry result in a final aesthetic that flows with the rest of the bike. It doesn't look like an afterthought. We even went as far as taking the time to match the fine texture grain of our molded undertail cover to the rest of the R3's tail section plastics. In fact, we've shown the system to a number of non-R3 owners, and the consistent response is, wow, I would think it came straight from Yamaha if I didn't know this was a TST part. That was our design intent for this Fender Eliminator. And as I will explain in greater detail after this section, our design unlocks the greatest depth of personalization of any of these Fender Eliminators. So between our standard fixed license plate bracket or our adjustable one and the optional inclusion of signal bracketry and license plate light, you can dial in the completed look you're going for. Moving on, I actually think every other brand represented here has a pretty similar design intent. Functional, cost-effective construction that gets the job done, though retail pricing is definitely something we will touch on because it's a little steep to me for each of these kits. And in my eyes, they come across looking more like an aftermarket part than something you would imagine straight from Yamaha. They are all constructed from laser-cut steel or aluminum that is bent into final shape, and they incorporate an undertail cover shape into the geometry. The Yoshimura Kit comes with a license plate light. The Vagabond Kit is designed to reuse the OEM plate light, and the Graves Kit requires an aftermarket solution. Lastly, they all come with bracketry or built-in provisions for remounting the Yamaha turn signals. Without further ado, let's now take a moment to run through footage of each Fender Eliminator option. All right, let's continue with our next consideration, system packaging and options. The TST Fender Eliminator is packaged with two main components, the undertail cover and the license plate mount. Our system is unique in this regard with two separate components rather than one continuous piece that serves both functions. This unlocks a valuable feature for many people, the ability to choose which style and price of license plate mount you want to run. Our base configuration is the standard fixed bracket, similar in construction to the other Fender Eliminators in this episode. This bracket is laser cut steel that is bent into shape and powder coated black. It's simple, cost effective, and shares a comparable level of quality to the other systems. Then, as an optional upgrade, you could choose to run our adjustable license plate mounting system. These components are CNC machined from billet aluminum and have a high quality black anodized finish. The adjustability is created at the hinge here and allows you to rotate your license plate around this axis for the position and angle that best suits your taste. If you desire even more adjustability, we have our extension kit, which is also made from CNC machined aluminum that results in two axes of rotation and unlocks greater positioning freedom. The next TST packaging consideration we will discuss is signaling. For this, we have given the ultimate decision to the customer and do not require for you to pay for anything you won't use. We do this by setting up the base configuration to have no provisions for pod signals. This may sound odd, but keep in mind that the TST integrated taillight for the R3 is an extremely popular item, and we find many customers that purchase the taillight and our Fender Eliminator at the same time. In that case, you may not need pod signal mounting capabilities. On the flip side, say you do want to run pod signals at your license plate. Perhaps you want to run pod signals by themselves, or another common method is to run the TST integrated taillight and pod signals by utilizing our Y-style signal harness splitter. Once again, we make this easy for you. Do you plan to remount the OEM Yamaha pod signals? Great, include the OEM bracket when you go to purchase the Fender Eliminator. Plan to use aftermarket pod signals like our LED offering from TST, which you can see on the bike behind me? No problem. Purchase our complete LED pod signal bundle or purchase the mounting brackets alone for some other aftermarket option. And there you have it. Our system allows you to run almost any signaling option available, but not pay for extra features you won't use. The final TST packaging consideration I'll discuss is license plate lighting. For this light, we use the same methodology as signaling. Start with a base configuration that doesn't incorporate one, therefore saving you money in the event you choose not to run one or have another solution in mind. But provide a reliable, cost-effective option in the event that you do want to compare that with our Fender Eliminator. Now, our system can be installed with ease and is where our stealth license plate light comes in. Although this is a straightforward task to solve, we put a significant amount of thought behind this accessory. We wanted a high quality, reliable, bright unit that was applicable to a large spectrum of setups, but at the same time wasn't overkill and required a considerable purchase price. Without getting into too much detail for this episode, the TST Stealth license plate light hits all of those particular design considerations. High quality injection molded components, 4 bright SMD type LEDs, easily mountable to many types of Fender Eliminator or license plate styles, and includes easy to use posi tap connectors for a quick and unobtrusive wiring job. All this with cost effectiveness in mind. If you purchase the license plate light at the same time as your R3 Fender Eliminator, this add-on will set you back only $10 or less. That will conclude the system packaging and options consideration for the TST Fender Eliminator. Let's now move on to Yoshimura's kit. Their system is an all-in-one design that doesn't permit many options. The undertail cover and license plate mount are one continuous piece. Included in the default kit are provisions for remounting of your Yamaha pod signals, a license plate light, and a Yoshimura branded tag frame. This covers your main bases with the exception of aftermarket pod signal mounting capability. If you want to run an aftermarket signal that uses the common 10mm mounting thread, you'll have to spend an additional $20 to get those brackets from Yoshimura. The OEM signal mounting brackets, however, are constructed nicely and are an optional accessory to the Fender Eliminator. If you wanted to run an integrated taillight alone, for example, you could choose to leave the brackets off from the Fender Eliminator. It's just unfortunate at that point that you then paid for signal brackets you won't use. Now, the license plate light from Yoshimura gets high marks from me. Here at TST, we acknowledge the professional quality and construction of this light. Our only argument to this light and why we didn't choose to design ours in a similar fashion is that we feel it's a bit overkill and therefore expensive for a light that's sole function is to illuminate your tag plate. That, and we feel it's on the bigger side of what's necessary. For an accessory that is supposed to be minimalist and largely unnoticed if it isn't on, some say this Yoshimura light is a little obtrusive to the sleekness of the rest of the tail section after a Fender Eliminator is installed. Nonetheless, this light is CNC aluminum construction, has 4 LEDs inside, mounts easily, and is finished with a Yoshimura laser engraving. With the Yost packaging and options concluded, let's now move on to the Vagabond Kit. Another all-in-one design, the Vagabond Fender Eliminator is straightforward in design and, like the Yoshimura Kit, has fewer options in comparison to the TST kit. The undertail cover and license plate mount are one continuous piece. You'll notice provisions for aftermarket pod signals or the OEM signals with slight modification, and provisions for the Yamaha license plate light are built directly into the sheet metal geometry. This design certainly helps to keep costs down, but some say it leads to a bulkier and less elegant system if you plan to run the Fender Eliminator without pod signals. Furthermore, you're required to remount the Yamaha license plate light, a unit that most would agree is a more bulbous and less sleek looking unit in comparison to the Yoshimura or TST light. And to me, you don't really have the choice to not run the Yamaha license plate light, as the mounting features on the Vagabond Fender Eliminator are a bit of an eyesore if something isn't installed there to cover up this section. All this said, if you plan to use pod signals and you are fine with the look of the Yamaha license plate light, this Fender Eliminator will cover your bases at a reasonable price point. Let's wrap up this consideration section with the Graves Kit. A third all-in-one design, the Graves Fender Eliminator is like the Yoshimura Kit without a license plate light or tag frame. The undertail cover and license plate mount are one continuous piece, and the kit includes separate mounts that are pre-installed for your Yamaha pod signals. You can choose to remove these brackets if you're not planning to run the Yamaha signals. However, if you're looking for an aftermarket signal solution with a 10mm mounting thread, you would need to source different bracketry. If you want to use a license plate light, you'd also have to go with some sort of an aftermarket solution there. A final design aspect I'd like to highlight is the lack of slotted holes for mounting your license plate. You'll notice all of the other Fender Eliminator options on the table use slotted holes to accommodate different hole width dimensions, but the Graves Kit uses circular holes. So if your license plate doesn't match this particular hole spacing, you may have to perform alterations to get the system to work. We're going to finish off this episode with our final 3 considerations when purchasing a Fender Eliminator: build quality, ease of installation and support from the manufacturer if you need it, and pricing. Let's run through construction and build quality. The TST system, as I mentioned before, is built around 2 main components: the undertail cover and the license plate mount. The undertail cover is a high quality, strong, well-designed injection molded component. It has reinforcing gussets on the underside of the piece, and I want to once again highlight the extra effort we put into this component with the surface texture that matches the rest of your R3's undertail section. That's a crucial aspect of making the TST system look like a factory Yamaha part. Next, our license plate brackets are available in either the standard fixed design or the upgraded design. The standard bracket is laser cut steel that is bent and powder coated in a flat black color. Our upgraded adjustable components are CNC machined from billet aluminum and are finished with a high quality black anodization. Finishing off our kit is stainless steel mounting hardware and genuine TST iconography. Moving on to the other systems, you'll notice the separation in construction design from the TST unit to the others. The Yoshimura Fender component is laser cut from a single sheet of steel and powder coated black, meaning the Yoshimura Fender is comparable in construction to our budget standard license plate mount. Finishing off the Yoshimura kit is high quality CNC machined aluminum license plate light that I've already talked about, a black anodized tag frame, laser cut OEM signal mounts, and stainless steel hardware. Next up, the Vagabond Fender Eliminator is another example of a laser cut and bent design. Their fender component is crafted from an aluminum sheet instead of steel and finished with a black powder coat. Their mounting fasteners are pressed into the component permanently. As I prefaced in this episode, I want to be authentic and fair in this technical comparison, so I do want to take a moment to highlight their quality of their laser cutting, bending, and powder coating. Of the components on the table made in this fashion, I would place the Vagabond construction at the top. Our CNC machined billet aluminum adjustable license plate mount is a step above laser cut components, but otherwise, this is a nicely manufactured item. Moving on to the Gravekid, we have another bent aluminum with black powder coat construction method. I'm honestly a little surprised by the lack of quality from the Gravekid. Perhaps we received a rare one, but even then I would have expected quality control to catch some of these problems. For example, the perimeter cuts don't look very good. On one side, the cut is a smooth curve. On the other, the cut follows a similar path but has hard vertices where there should be gentle curves to match the other side. For a kit that's this expensive, it surprised me to see this. Then there were a couple other small things like the powder coat not looking as nice as the Vagabond coat, and I noticed a decently large spot that they covered up with a black Sharpie where I'm assuming they hang the component during powder. Now, having a powder coat hook mark is a common thing to see on parts like this. I won't claim our powder coated brackets are perfect in this regard, but this spot does seem a little bit large to me, and on a kit this expensive, some may be disappointed. If this kit were 25 bucks, like some of our standard Fender Eliminator kits, and it has a small spot, okay, I get it. But at this price point, I think many people would expect a bit better. Okay, our next topic to cover is ease of installation and support from the manufacturer. This is short for me to cover because all of these kits are easy to install. Part of that is due to the way the R3's tail section is designed. The important thing to cover here is that TST and Vagabond have created installation tutorials that will show you how to install their kits step by step. I do also want to highlight that the support from TST and Vagabond may be a more pleasant experience, purely because you will more than likely purchase the kits straight from the manufacturer. With Yoshimura, for example, you'd probably pick this up from a general retailer. And if you needed to contact Yoshimura for warranty support or to ask a technical question about the installation, you may have a tougher time reaching someone that knows everything about this particular kit. Now, I haven't ever contacted Yoshimura for product support, so I don't want to dwell on this topic, but I do know that if you have any trouble with a TST part or really anything sport bike related, we've got your back. And now for our final consideration, pricing. The TST kit in its most basic configuration is available today for only $60, and free shipping is included within the United States. Adding a license plate light will only set you back about $10 more. And if you want the upgraded design and construction quality, our adjustable license plate mount will bring the kit in at a reasonable $100. As I mentioned before, we only want you to pay for what you need, which is why our base configurations are so affordable at this level of design and quality. Then, if you want to step up to the upgraded components or include some accessories like the license plate light, adjustable extension kit, OEM signal mount, etc., you're paying an affordable price for the items you need. Moving on, the Yoshimura Kit has a current retail price of $130, making it the most expensive kit, even if you compared a fully decked out TST kit with license plate light and OEM signal mount. If you want to mount aftermarket pod signals on the Yosh system, that mounting kit is yet another $20 on top of the $130. The Vagabond Kit is available in only one configuration, and that's retailing today for $70, making it similar to a TST package of our standard Fender configuration and a license plate light together. And finally, the Gravekid has an MSRP today of $95. I want to wrap up the pricing topic by unveiling an important aspect of today's market. On one side, you have new manufacturers like TST and Vagabond that are selling directly to customers. On the other, you have manufacturers that follow the classic supply chain of selling through distributors, who then sell to retailers, and finally to you, the end consumer. For those brands that are primarily selling through distributors, you need to realize that each time a kit passes through someone's hands, you pay for it. For example, This Yoshimura kit may only cost them 20 bucks to make. They sell it to a distributor for 40. That distributor then sells to its retailer network for 65. And the retailers need their margin, so it's available to you for 130. We skip those hands in the middle. In the process, you guys that actually own an R3 save 50% for items of comparable or oftentimes better design and quality. We sacrifice some of the immediate reach that a distribution partnership may provide, but we do it because we want to redefine what's possible for this industry. We believe in items that offer killer bang for your buck value. We believe to achieve that, we have to be different to be better. We want to create without bounds and develop products that redefine quality, design, technology, and experience, but are still within reach for those of us that budget meals around their next bike purchase or schedule their vacations around track days. This is one of those reasons why we do what we do. Alrighty guys, what an episode. That was fun. Hopefully you learned something and feel you can make a smarter buying decision for your R3. If you enjoyed this episode, smash that like button, subscribe to our channel, and leave us a comment below. I also encourage you to hit up tstindustries.com to check out our Fender Eliminator and other popular products for your R3. I'm Stephen Fox, and I will catch you guys next time.